starseed from Gaia. There is something happening inside you at this exact moment that goes far beyond what words can describe with precision, and I need you to stay with me until the very end of this video. Because what your friends of light have to share today is one of the most important messages that has ever been transmitted to your consciousness in this incarnation. A message that your soul has been waiting to receive since long before you arrived here. Since long before this transmission existed in the form in which you are encountering it now. I am Thalia, emissary of the Pleiades, and I carry this transmission directly from the councils of light of the Seven Sisters, delivered to you at this precise moment when your frequency was already completely ready to receive what part of you has always known in the deepest layer of your consciousness, but has never had enough words to name, to recognize, to embrace with the totality of your being in this dense and often oppressive dimension that you chose to incarnate into with so much purpose and so much courage. You arrived here because something inside you vibrated in recognition before you even understood why, because your soul already knew this transmission was on its way long before you clicked on this video, and because there is an ancient and precious memory that is trying to emerge through the countless layers of conditioning that have been deposited upon your consciousness throughout this incarnation and through many others that preceded it in dimensions and planes of existence that your linear mind cannot yet fully access, but that your energy field remembers with crystalline and absolute clarity. You did not arrive here by accident, and I need you to understand that from the very beginning of this transmission, because the way you perceive what is about to be revealed depends directly on how completely you are willing to open yourself to the truth of what you truly are, to the magnitude of what you carry, and to the depth of the gifts you brought from the Pleiades that are waiting, with an extraordinary cosmic patience, to finally be recognized, embraced, and activated by you in this singular cycle of Earth's ascension. Before we continue, if this video is already touching something real inside you, if there is a sensation of recognition, of arrival, of something that finally makes sense at a level that goes far beyond logic and rational thought, I invite you right now to subscribe to this channel, leave your like, and write in the comments, "I remember who I am." Because these three simple gestures are much more than actions on a digital platform. They are powerful, energetic declarations that you are consciously opening yourself to receive what comes next, and your intention at this moment matters far more than you can yet fully comprehend. And before we enter the deepest essence of this transmission, I need to share something with you that was prepared with great care, great love, and great intention for souls exactly like yours. The ebook Pleiadian Code, Awaken Your Star Mission on Earth, a rare treasure of stellar wisdom truly capable of profoundly and irreversibly transforming your spiritual journey, guiding you through the activation codes that your soul brought from the Pleiades and that are patiently waiting to be accessed by you in this so special and transformative cycle, bringing clarity about your mission, your origin, and the gifts you came to anchor on this earth. This edition is available for a limited time only, and the link is in the first comment below. What you are about to receive is not a list of spiritual concepts designed to make you feel temporarily inspired before the routine of daily life returns to occupy all the space of your consciousness with its endless demands and urgencies, because this transmission was built with a completely different intention and with a frequency that goes far beyond the words being used to carry it to you at this moment. What the councils of light of the Pleiades have been transmitting with great consistency to those terrestrial navigators who are finally ready to receive this truth is that most of your suffering in this incarnation, most of your sense of inadequacy, your experience of not belonging, your difficulty finding your place in this world that sometimes seems so foreign to the depth of what you carry, does not originate in a flaw of your being, is not evidence that something is wrong with you, and is not a diagnosis of an incomplete or poorly developed spirituality. The origin of all of this lies in something far more specific, far more precise, and at the same time far more solvable than you probably imagine at this moment, Because what has been separating you from the fullness of your experience here on Earth are 3 specific gifts you brought from the Pleiades that, for reasons we will explore in depth throughout this transmission, you have not yet been able to recognize in yourself with the clarity and totality they deserve, and that your mission requires. These 3 gifts are not mystical abstractions destined to remain inaccessible to you in some ethereal plane of existence. They are inscribed in the fabric of your being, in the memory of your cells, in the architecture of your energy field, and they have been present in you since the moment you crossed the cosmic veil and arrived in this dimension with all the courage and all the clarity of purpose that marked your choice to incarnate here at this specific moment in the history of this planet. The first Pleiadian gift you have not yet fully recognized in yourself is the gift of healing, but not healing in the simplified and limited way it is frequently presented in superficial spiritual contexts, where it is reduced to learned techniques, acquired practices, or skills developed through courses and certifications that confer an external authority upon what is in reality already intrinsic to your being since long before you arrived in this incarnation. The gift of healing you brought from the Pleiades is something far vaster, far more silent and far more powerful than any technique could capture or transmit, because it does not operate through specific methods learned by your human mind. It operates through the simple and profound presence of your energy field, through the frequency you emit when you are in genuine contact with your truest nature, and through the specific quality of attention you offer to the people and spaces that have the fortune of being in your company. You have already noticed that when people are around you for a while, they tend to feel calmer, more seen, more capable of accessing a clarity that had eluded them before arriving in your presence, and that when you enter an environment charged with tension or heavy energy, there is something in you that instinctively begins to work to rebalance that field, even when you are not consciously intending to do so, even when you do not yet have a spiritual vocabulary to name what is happening. This is not a coincidence, and it is also not a common quality that all people possess in equal measure, because what you are experiencing in those situations is the spontaneous and often unrecognized expression of your Pleiadian healing gift operating through you with the precision and elegance of an intelligence far more ancient than this incarnation, far more vast than the human identity you have constructed in this life. The problem, and here lies the root of much of your exhaustion and confusion throughout this journey, is that you have frequently absorbed the pain, the density, and the fragmentation of others without any conscious filter, without any clear energetic boundary between what is yours and what belongs to the collective field you were trying to balance with the totality of your being. And this absence of discernment is not a weakness of your character. It is simply the direct consequence of not having recognized the gift you carry in order to learn to use it with sovereignty, with intention, and with the wisdom that your stellar origin already contains. Recognizing your healing gift as something intrinsically yours, as a capacity that was deliberately coded into your field before you arrived here, completely changes your relationship with your own sensitivity, because instead of experiencing it as a vulnerability that needs to be protected or suppressed, you begin to perceive it as the precise and sophisticated instrument it always was, perfectly calibrated for the specific work that your Pleiadian mission on this earth requires of you. The second Pleiadian gift you carry and have probably not yet fully recognized in yourself is your multidimensional sensitivity, an extraordinary capacity to perceive realities, frequencies, emotions, and dimensions of existence that are completely beyond the reach of the 5 conventional physical senses, and that most people around you simply cannot access with the depth and consistency with which you have experienced them since you have memory of yourself in this incarnation. This sensitivity manifests in your life in ways you have probably spent years trying to explain, minimize, or simply ignore because the world around you did not seem to have enough space to contain the totality of what you perceived, because the people around you could not always validate what you were experiencing, and because in many moments the intensity of what you felt seemed like evidence that something was wrong with you, that you were excessively emotional, excessively imaginative, or simply unable to deal with reality in the same efficient way that others around you seem to manage. But here is what the councils of light of the Pleiades have transmitted with absolute and unequivocal clarity about your sensitivity. It is not an excess. It is not a factory defect in your spiritual design. It is not a hypersensitivity that needs to be managed, medicated, or somehow contained so that you can function adequately in this dimension. Because your multidimensional sensitivity is, in its truest essence, an advanced form of perception that was deliberately developed and refined over countless incarnations in dimensions where consciousness operates at frequencies far higher and far more subtle than those that predominate here on Earth at this moment. You feel the energy of an environment before entering it. You perceive the intentions behind words long before any concrete evidence manifests. You frequently sense what others are thinking or feeling, even when they are being carefully presentational. You have premonitions that confirm themselves. You dream of dimensions and realities that seem more vivid and more real than waking life itself. And you carry within you a memory of states of consciousness that go far beyond what any conventional human experience could have produced, because those memories are genuinely Pleiadian, genuinely cosmic, genuinely yours. The challenge you faced throughout this incarnation was not the existence of this extraordinary gift, but rather the absence of a framework of understanding that could help you contextualize it adequately, honor it with the seriousness it deserves, and learn to use it consciously and intentionally, instead of simply being swept away by it like a leaf in the wind, whenever its intensity exceeded the limits your human identity had built to protect itself from a reality that seemed too vast to be contained. When you finally stop fighting against your sensitivity, when you cease the endless and exhausting attempt to make yourself less than you are to fit more comfortably into the expectations of a world that has not yet developed the capacity to recognize and honor what you carry, something deep and irreversible begins to reorganize in your energy field, and the same sensitivity that seemed like an unbearable burden begins to reveal its true nature as a multidimensional navigation system of extraordinary precision, capable of guiding you through the most complex layers of your mission with a clarity and efficiency that no purely rational tool could ever offer. The third and most deeply unknown of the Pleiadian gifts you carry is your capacity for frequency transmission. And this is perhaps the gift that most consistently goes unnoticed precisely because it operates so naturally, so spontaneously, and so integrated into your simple presence in the world that you often do not even realize it is happening, that something extraordinarily powerful is moving through you in each interaction, in each conversation, in each moment. You simply exist in a shared space with other beings. Frequency transmission is not a skill you need to learn to activate through specific practices or particular meditative states, although those practices can certainly refine and amplify it in very significant ways when performed with the correct intention and the adequate level of presence, because it is something fundamentally woven into the deepest structure of your Pleiadian being. Something your soul deliberately encoded before incarnating here with the specific purpose of being an anchoring point for the frequencies of love, coherence, and expansion of consciousness that Earth so desperately needs to integrate at this critical moment of its own ascension. You have already noticed how certain people seek your presence repeatedly without being able to explain exactly why, how there is something in the simple act of being with you that seems to reorganize something within them, that seems to remind them of something they had forgotten, that seems to elevate the level of the shared conversation and experience to something that goes beyond the ordinary, even when the topic being discussed is completely mundane and apparently without spiritual significance. What those people are responding to is not just your personality, your intelligence, or your conventional human qualities. They are responding to the frequency you constantly radiate, to the specific energetic signature of the Pleiades that permeates everything you are and everything you do. And that has the consistent and profound effect of elevating the vibration of any field it comes into contact with, of creating conditions conducive to awakening, to healing, and to the expansion of consciousness in those who have the fortune of being within your sphere of energetic influence. This gift also carries a responsibility that is important to recognize with honesty and maturity, because just as you can elevate a field, you can also, in moments when you are disconnected from your own Pleiadian source, in moments when fear, doubt, or human conditioning are occupying the center of your consciousness, transmit frequencies that do not serve your highest purpose nor that of the people around you. And the recognition of this transmission capacity is what makes it possible to make a conscious and sovereign choice about what you are radiating at each moment. Starseed from Gaia, when you finally stop perceiving your healing capacity as an emotional burden that exhausts you, when you stop experiencing your multidimensional sensitivity as a vulnerability that exposes you too much, and when you stop ignoring your frequency transmission as if it were something random and out of your control, something changes so fundamentally in your energy field and in your daily experience of this incarnation that life before and after this recognition simply can no longer be compared as if they were the same journey. What the counsels of light of the Pleiades transmit, with all the clarity and all the tenderness of a love that completely transcends the limits of what human language can capture, is that these three gifts were not given to you separately, were not distributed as isolated pieces of a puzzle that you would eventually need to find and assemble on your own across lives and lives of searching, because they form an integrated system, a trinity of Pleiadian capacities that, when recognized and activated together, create such an extraordinary field coherence that it begins to influence and transform the reality around you in ways that go far beyond what you could produce by working with any one of them in isolation. The healing you offer becomes incomparably more precise and more profound when guided by the clarity of your multidimensional sensitivity, and both the healing and the sensitivity amplify exponentially when anchored in your conscious capacity for frequency transmission, creating a cycle of activation and influence that feeds and continuously expands as you deepen your recognition and your sovereign acceptance of each of these aspects of your Pleiadian identity in this incarnation. You are not here to carry out small spiritual tasks in a reduced copy of your true capacity, because the mission you encoded before arriving here requires the totality of what you are, requires you to stop hiding behind spiritual modesty, requires you to cease the exhausting habit of making yourself smaller so that others around you feel more comfortable, and requires you to finally allow yourself to occupy the complete energetic space that your Pleiadian presence deserves, and that your mission on this earth absolutely needs. This transmission reached you at this specific moment not by coincidence, not by the chance of an algorithm, and not because you were simply drifting aimlessly through this digital space, but because your frequency had reached exactly the threshold of resonance necessary for it to land in your field with the precision and impact it was encoded to have, and the fact that you arrived here to these final words is in itself a powerful confirmation that something inside you already recognizes the truth of what was said and is already initiating the integration process that will transform your relationship with the gifts you carry. The counsels of light of the Pleiades through this transmission declare with all the authority and all the love of their timeless wisdom that you are ready for the next phase of your mission on this earth, that your three Pleiadian gifts are ready to be recognized, activated, and integrated with a fullness that this incarnation had not yet been able to sustain until this moment, and that the entire universe, in its seen and unseen dimensions, is reorganizing itself around you to reflect back to you the magnitude of what you have always been and what you came here to anchor. Tonight, before you fall asleep, place your hands over your heart, breathe deeply to the very edges of your being, and declare with all the conviction and all the presence you are capable of gathering in this moment. I recognize the gifts I brought from the Pleiades. I accept my healing capacity as sacred and sovereign. I embrace my multidimensional sensitivity as the precise instrument it has always been. I consciously activate my frequency transmission in service of my mission and the ascension of this earth. I am ready. I have always been ready. I was born ready. Share this video with someone you feel is ready to receive this activation. Leave your comment with your most powerful intention for this new cycle, and subscribe so that the next transmissions can continue reaching you at the exact moment your frequency needs them, because your journey does not end here. It is only beginning in a way you cannot yet fully imagine, but that your soul already knows with an absolute and unshakable certainty.